what do you do with all this stuff that centering prayer is starting to bring up in your daily life? That's where welcoming is going to be at the service of. Now, in this process, the key words for me are honesty, humility, openness, willingness, and the biggest one is trust. See, we can only face the truth about ourselves when we know we are loved. I don't know if any of you saw, it was a little, my months get mixed up. A couple months ago, the e-bulletin from Contemplative Outreach had a little video clip of Thomas Keating. And he said in there, the only way to get through suffering is to know you are loved. Do you remember that? Yes. We can't really go through the journey if it isn't in relationship. Like we teach, centering prayer is both a discipline, but it's really a relationship. As that relationship grows towards intimacy, that's where we have the strength and the trust and the ability to look at ourselves or to see ourselves and not run away shrieking in horror. That's what Thomas keeps writing about. Larry, I have quote after quote after quote. Whoops. About this ability to allow ourselves. That's what he said, God is already here. The spiritual journey is not a career, but a succession of diminutions of self, as Teilhard de Chardin put it. This has nothing to do with the neurosis of a low self-image. It's simply the fact that we are completely dependent on the love of God. We are always in the arms of the beloved, whatever we may feel or think. So that beginning piece may put us together because of low self-image or whatever it is, that you are worthy, you are loved, you are enough. Then once you see you are enough, and you are loved, and you are precious, then it's like the mirror comes up and God says, but I have more to show you, my peach. And then you see that that's nothing to be grandiose about because it's the constant humiliation of our false self, which is just fine. Mary used to say that most of us enter centering prayer like we're going to kill the false self or be done. And her image for it was, come here, you little cutie, I want to dance with you. It's really learning to dance with ourselves without that attachment or aversion. It's more like, there I go again. But you see how the energy shifts? When the energy shifts, like, I can't believe I'm doing it again. It's amazing, God, look at this. Wow, I am really going now. Shouldn't go there. Boy, boom. It just has a whole different feel because we are staying connected and real and honest and totally dependent on God. What a wonderful year that Francis declared this the year of mercy. Because that's what, in my experience, I need the most of. Mercy, mercy, mercy. Because the more compassionate I am and allow myself to be with myself, the more compassionate I can be with somebody else. But in that other script of try harder, do better, stand up straighter. Do you know what I mean? You can just, you feel it. There's no room, one, to relax or be very present to anybody else because we're all so darn constricted in trying to be better. That was the one word Mary said, take out of your vocabulary. Try. You either do it or you don't. But don't put that second step in there of trying. So, we're going to be at the service of welcoming in this wonderful experience of letting God love us into life. He already's loved us enough to bring us here. And many of you know Thomas's great quote about what we would be if God weren't animating us at every millisecond of our being. What would you be? A grease spot. So, that's a profound spiritual teaching. If you are not, look down, do you see feet? If you are still physically manifest, God is present. Regardless of your psychological content of the moment. We spend all our time thinking that this is what really is reality, when in truth, this is really what's real. So this welcoming prayer helps us to get out of those top 3 inches of our head and into, yes, a full-hearted and full-bodied yes to life and to God loving us into life so that we can love all those around us. That's all we are. We're just conduits, little stardust zipping around. And it seems the older I get, the faster the zip is getting. So it's time. If not now, when? But for those of you who don't know, I want to describe Mary Mrozowski to you. Because the teaching of Mary wasn't so much with her mouth, it's if you knew her. And she was a pistol, and she was really difficult. And Merton says it takes 99 martyrs to live with one saint, and I do consider myself a martyr. Thomas had given me 2 names when I made my first intensive out in Snowmass, and I was just like, where do I go from here? And I was a banker at the time, and I was single. I was about 30. And he gave me 2 names, Meg Funk and Mary Mrozowski. Well, Sister Meg Funk at the time was a Benedictine prioress. You may know her many books. She is a beautiful woman. But I knew the Benedictines. I'm from Erie, Pennsylvania, if you've ever heard of Joan Chittister or anybody like that. So I was educated by the Josephites, so I knew, and my oldest sister was a nun for 10 years of my youth. So I was pretty familiar with the nuns. Mary Mrozowski, though, in this lay contemplative community called Chrysalis House, I didn't know what that was. So I thought, I'll give that a try. And if that fails, okay, God, I'll be a nun. That was really how it was. So I fly up there the next weekend, and it was in a place, Warwick, New York, about 55 miles northwest of the city. And I met David Fournette. He greeted me, and we're about the same age, so he's a dear friend of mine now. But anyways, it was like Mary. It was always this like, oh, Mary's coming, or Mary this. So Mary was giving a workshop somewhere else, so they weren't sure I was going to get to see Mary. And they lived a very monastic lifestyle. So you got up at 5 in the morning, you did an hour sit, you did this and that. So anyways, I do that. The community goes on, and I go back to bed, and then I get up. And in the afternoon, they're like, Mary might be able to see you. So I'm sitting outside, and down the hall, I hear like clippity-clop, clippity-clop. It was high heels coming. So out walks Mary, and at the time, her looks changed a lot. At the time, she was in a black cocktail dress that was a bit too tight. if you want to know the truth. And she was chubby. And she had nails out to about there, and they were painted white. She had blue eyeshadow on. She had long gray hair, silver gray at the time. Then she went black with silver. Then she went silver with black streaks. It changed. She had a lot of glass jewelry. If you hear any of her old tapes, there's always, because the jewelry was always around it. And the black pumps were velvet. You know those black velvet pumps? Yeah. And honest to God, one look at her, my first thought was, Thomas Keating recommended you. I'm sitting there, obviously haven't figured out the hair stuff yet. It was short then too. I had Birkenstocks on, no makeup, of course. I'm going to be holy. I'm going to do centering prayer. So I'm denying everything, and there she is in full femininity having a ball. And that was her greatest teaching to me, because you know what I thought instantly? I want what you have. She wasn't afraid to be her. Now, most of the time I found out in the retreat center when she wasn't going out, she did wear Birkenstocks and crazy socks and slept around. But when she was going out, she got all dressed up to the nines and just had a ball. And wasn't a bit apologetic about it. She had somehow claimed that own inner authenticity, that this was it. This is my life, and I'm not somebody else, and how do I be me? And that was the invitation, because I was like that children's book of Are You My Mother? The little duckling that can't find. So I was like, should I go to Colorado? Should I be a nun? What kind of food should I eat? Like if you fix me from the outside in, I'll be okay. I was broken inside, but I was looking outside for the cure. Like, okay, most people have their hair how? That's how I was doing it. Like, okay, what's the norm? Like, okay, what's this? And I couldn't be a monk, or I would have. I didn't know about, but you know what I mean? It was like, okay, they seem to have it all together. So, but I wasn't born the right way. So I can't be a monk. So I'm looking at all the others. And here was this person who totally was not, by any stretch of the means, up to what I thought she should be. And there was Thomas Keating telling me that she was the one that had it. And I was like, wow. How do you do that? And that's when she taught me welcoming.